Bruno Fernandes has signed a new deal at Manchester United, keeping him at the club for the next 5 years. There'll be a bumper pay increase for the Portuguese midfielder, who, for large parts of his time at United since joining 2 years ago, has been sensational. But there are some calls that this is premature. Does the new manager want him? Does the new manager or new potential manager back this as a deal? Now, I want your thoughts and I want your feelings looking at the Bruno Fernandes deal. Is this right for Manchester United? Should he be getting such a bumper pay deal, as we say, at this point? Should he be getting his contract extended by a further 2 years at this point? Or should a new manager be waited for? Make sure you're hitting that like button. Make sure you're leaving your comments below, subscribing to the channel. Let's go. Bruno Fernandes has been one of the most prolific and most successful signings since Sir Alex Ferguson retired from Manchester United. I don't think that can be denied. I don't think that can be played down. He has been. There's certainly been an element of him going off the boil, though, over the course of this season. He had some great moments. He still scored a fair amount of goals, one of the most creative football players in European football from a numbers point of view, but someone that divides the fan base and absolutely infuriates people that do not believe he passes the eye test. If he doesn't pass the eye test, the people that care a lot about how a player looks absolutely despise him in a Manchester United shirt. It's been confirmed by Fabrizio Romano that the new deal is agreed. It is going to happen. It is quite literally now a formality in terms of announcing it. But that has created a secondary conversation. We always knew there was going to be I think he's good enough versus I think he's overrated. He's a hit and hope merchant, Hollywood passer. We need someone who's more techie. We need more of an Odegaard-esque player. We need somebody more KDB, more Bernardo Silva, someone who passes that eye test. May not be as creative, may not score as many goals, may not win as many matches for you, but looks better on the eye and plays better football. That debate's been going on for 2 solid years. So, of course, him getting a new deal was always going to throw this up as a conversation and talking point. But what we're now seeing is this question of, well, what about the new manager? What about Poch? What about Ten Hag? Do they want this player to stay or not? Now, it's a great question. It's a great question. And I'm going to give you my opinion in a minute. I was going to kind of relay some of the things that I'm reading and some of the things that I'm seeing. Some people believe categorically you should be waiting for the new manager. If Ten Hag or Poch or Mancini, Luis Enrique, whoever the new person is going to be, they should get the final say as to whether or not the player gets a new deal. Not Manchester United. We're now about to, we saw this in the early Ollie days. There was players like Phil Jones, etc., all being given new deals when he was still in his interim period. And it ended up clogging the squad up. It created problems, hard to move people on, didn't always get the players in that the club and Ollie wanted. So let's not repeat that mistake again. Let's wait till there's a permanent manager and let's do the business. Now, from that point of view, we have to look at it from the other angle, which is, does the club need to build a club ethos, a club structure, the ability for the club to be able to develop something for itself? That's the question you have to ask yourself. It's as simple and it's as straightforward as that. That's simply what needs to happen. You cannot get away from that. And for me, I'm in 2 minds about this. I understand the want of giving someone like a Ten Hag all the power, all the say, his style of football, his philosophy, his opinions. Let's wait for the new director of football. Let's stop making these rash decisions now. At the same time, though, I have to be true to myself. I have to be true to myself and say, I've been demanding, pleading for a club ethos. it shouldn't be down to any new manager coming in per se. The types of player that we sign, the people that should be getting contracts renewed, how much money we're going to spend on transfers, the types of players that we scout. The club needs to have a philosophy. The club needs to have a structure. The club needs to have a culture. What you then do is find a manager who mirrors it. Of course, over the course of time, you will take the manager's opinions on board. You will listen to what that manager wants to bring it to life. But there has to be a match. There has to be, I find 80 to 85% plus match on philosophies, the profile of the players that you want to bring into the football club, the mentality of the individuals that you want, and all the little things in between. So I understand both arguments. You should not do anything until Ten Hag comes in. And I understand the other side of it because it's where I sit around. No, I want the club to be making these decisions. But where I sit in reality is I've seen this happen before and I've seen it go wrong. Do I trust Manchester United? This isn't about Bruno. It's not about giving Pogba a new deal or a new offer. It isn't about the kind of manager that we employ. For me, it's about the club actually moving forward, picking a way of operating and simply sticking to it. The way we deviate and move and change and chop and chop and change over the course of a 12-month, 18-month, 2-year period, it's an embarrassment. And if you re-sign Bruno Fernandes, if Pogba was to sign a new deal with us in the coming weeks, if we're keeping Cristiano Ronaldo, if that's the profile of player that we've got, and we're going to be throwing big money at keeping them, the manager that's coming in has to be able to get a tune out of those players. And this is where I say to people, just for a moment, forget about the ideal manager you want. I want Ten Hag. But if we are going to keep these players and Ten Hag says, they're not really my cup of tea, we should not be bringing Ten Hag in as the manager. We have to have a coherent, almost linear process. This is how we want to play. So we go for manager A because that's his style. We want to play like Jurgen Klopp, but we're going to go and employ Diego Simeone as the manager. That's how we're operating. So Bruno getting the new deal. I understand that people that don't like Bruno are not going to be happy irrespective. Remember, if Ten Hag comes in and loves Bruno and picks him, the people that don't like Bruno are not going to like him. It doesn't matter. He's already finished in their minds. It will be, I know that the new manager's getting a tune out of him, but imagine an even better player, a techie player, how much better we could be. That will always be the narrative, right? They're never going to say they were wrong, irrespective of what Bruno does. But I'm talking more about us as fans looking at this. Manchester United fans, we are all guilty of this. I want what I want. I want this manager. I want his profile of play. I want his style of play. And I get that. But we have to be looking at our club. Forget what we want for a minute. If we're re-signing Bruno Fernandes, you look at the kind of squad we're going to have next year. Who is the best manager over a 2 to 3 year period that's going to get the best out of that squad? Because if you're going to bring Ten Hag in and slowly let him change his team, why are you giving Bruno Fernandes a new deal? So if you're angry about this new deal right now, it should have nothing to do with Bruno personally. Nothing to do with Ten Hag personally. You should be looking at the football club again and saying, what are you doing? I've just got a gut feeling, a little concern deep down inside. In terms of Bruno Fernandes, listen, I'm happy. I'm happy he's got a new deal. I personally think, by the way, he'll do very, very well under Ten Hag. I think he'll do very, very well under Mauricio Pochettino. I think he'll do well under any manager or coach of a certain level. When Man United's confidence return, that will happen. He needs to move out of midfield roles, though. He needs to play as that secondary striker or attacking midfielder. He needs to be, they need to find a way of getting the very best out of Bruno. The irony in it is people want him to be David Silva or Dennis Bergkamp, but that isn't what he is. Play him in a position where his strengths are utilized to the nth degree and he'll be successful. Same with any player, really. Imagine you have Trent Alexander-Arnold in your team, but you don't let him cross the halfway line. What would be the point? There'd be no point at Trent if you're not letting him go forward and attack. He'd be pointless in a Jose Mourinho team. Like peak Jose when he never let Ashley Cole go beyond the halfway line. You need to let players utilize their tools and try and be the best version of themselves they can be. But look, I want your views and I want your opinions. Is it right to give him a new deal now? Does this give you an indication of who Man United might be looking at as a manager? Is it more maybe Poch because of the style of player that he is? Do you think Bruno Fernandes can operate under Ten Hag? And if Ten Hag comes in and wants completely different profiles to that of Bruno Fernandes's, but yet the club are giving him a new deal, are we already starting off on the wrong foot with our new manager who hasn't even been announced? I want your thoughts. I want your feelings. Make sure you're smashing that like button. Make sure you're subscribing to the Football Terrace. Check out the QR code just there or the one above right about now, people, as well. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you soon.